Alright, what's up everybody? We're back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, we're going to be trying to predict the Eastern Conference. We're going to try to predict the standings, stuff like that in the East. This time it's going to be pretty hard, but we're going to do it. Alright, thank you guys for your views on my videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, please consider subscribing, like, turn notifications on, stuff like that. I really appreciate it. Really upset a lot. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So here we are, we're on the predictions list. Shout out to Enjoy Predictions, Enjoy Basketball. Shout out to them for this site where we can predict the Eastern Conference standings. So yeah, we're gonna get into it. These are all my predictions, what I think is gonna happen. Is any of this gonna be right? Probably not, but you know, why not have fun with it? All right, so we'll start with 15. So who do I think the worst team in the Eastern Conference is gonna be? Look around. Charlotte's definitely gonna be a player in this. Detroit, Washington. Well, honestly, really, it's between Charlotte and Washington for me. On who the 15 and I think those would be 15 and 14. I just don't know which order. Because Charlotte, they have a lot of stuff going on. Besides LaMelo, they don't really have that much. You know, their roster isn't great. You know, they might have arguably the worst talent of roster. The worst roster just on paper, looking at it. You know, they might have the worst one, to be honest. LaMelo, hopefully, if LaMelo plays, because the last 2 years LaMelo has played full years, they made the play-in. Now, the roster looks very different from that, you know. A lot of the players are older. You know, a lot of other stuff going on. We don't know about Miles Bridges. Brandon Miller, we're still trying to develop him. You know, but Washington too, though. Washington is like, Jordan Poole did drop 40 yesterday. They have a solid roster on paper. The thing about Washington, we just know they're not gonna win that many games, and they shouldn't want to win that many games. They want a top pick, you know. So I'm gonna go with, you know what? I'll go Washington 15 and Charlotte 14. That's what I'll do. Washington 15, Charlotte 14. Because I don't know. Because Washington has a better roster, but I just feel like Washington's gonna be the team that at the trade deadline they sell, like Tyus Jones get traded, like a lot of Delon Wright, like they'll sell a lot of things because I feel like they want to be a lower roster, and they do have Jordan Poole, Kyle Kuzma, Tyus Jones. They can win you some games, obviously, but it's like there's gonna be some games where they're off. For Charlotte, meanwhile, to have them over Washington, I just feel like LaMelo brings a whole lot. I feel like LaMelo brings a whole lot. It could get you some wins, you know, and they might have some big games with PJ Washington. Hopefully Brandon Miller could pop off and win some games, you know, help him win some games. And Steve Clifford's going to try to win games. So I think I'll put Charlotte 14, Washington 15, but those two are definitely going to be the bottom two, I feel like, in the East. Now we go to 13. Now this is where it starts getting tough. So 13, Detroit's in consideration here. Toronto's in consideration here. Orlando might be in consideration. Brooklyn might even be in consideration. There's a few teams in consideration for 13. I'm going to go with Detroit, though. Looking at all the teams, Detroit, I like their team a whole lot, though. But just, they're so young. You know what I mean? They're young. Cade's going to be back for hopefully a full, healthy year. But they're just not ready there yet, you know, which is okay. They're not supposed to be a playoff team right now. You know, it's okay for them to be still 13. That's a big improvement. Last year they won 17 games, so even getting up to 13 at this point will be a huge improvement. If we can see Cade be good, Ivy take a step, what Ausar can do, if Durant can take another step, like, that would be great. So yeah, just looking at the other teams as well, I feel like 13 is just a solid spot for them, you know. Number 12 now. 12, I am gonna put at 12 the Toronto Raptors. Toronto, I think 12. Toronto, I just don't really like their team a whole lot, you know? Like, they have a weird situation where they're not that good, but they're not horrible either, like 15 seed horrible. They're just really weird position, you know? Pascal's really good. He's an all-NBA level player, but who knows how long he's going to be on there because he's on the last year of his contract. OG, we don't know if he's going to get traded or not. Dennis Schroeder's their starting point guard now, and who's their backup? Malachi Flynn, maybe? I don't know. Drafted Grady Dick, who's solid, but I don't know if he's changing the game over there. So if Gary Trent, they just have a We got to see what Scotty Barnes does now in his 3rd season. Like, it's just weird. I feel like it's time for Toronto to sell and trade Pascal and OG and just restart with Scotty. You know, I don't know if they're actually going to do that, but maybe if they start the season off on a not good note, maybe. But I just don't really, I just don't really like the Raptors roster compared to all the other teams like that. So I'll put them 12. Number 11, the 11th seed, the team that just misses out on the play-in. So Chicago is going to be in consideration. I think the 3 considerations here: Chicago, Brooklyn, or Orlando. I feel like those are the 3 teams that could, if any of these 11 teams, that the team that could miss out. Chicago is a good one here, but the thing is about Chicago also is that they have a solid enough team where they're probably will somehow make it. You know, like Zach and DeRozan will have big years and they'll somehow make it. Orlando's still young, you know, so they could be the odd ones out here, but I don't know. I just really like the Orlando Magic team. I feel like they're going to have a big year, surprise a lot of people. And then Brooklyn as well. They're just a very odd. You don't know what you're going to get from them. You know, and they don't have the star player that, you know, at the last few minutes of the game. They might lose a lot of close games just because they don't have a guy that's like, here you go. Here, star player, take over and win the game for us. You know, they don't have that. Mikal Bridges maybe could be, but he's unproven on that mark still. So, for 11... I'm gonna go with the. I want to go Chicago, but the thing about Chicago has a solid enough roster where they could be a 9 and 10 seed. I can see them being there. So, and I don't want to put Orlando because I feel like Orlando. I feel like is gonna be good this year. But Brooklyn also is like solid. I'm gonna go Chicago. Chicago 11. I'm gonna go Chicago there. I feel like they're very solid to make the play-in, but I don't know. I honestly kind of want Chicago to miss out just so they can trade everybody in 3-star over, man. That's really what I want. But compared to Brooklyn or Orlando, I like those teams a lot better than Chicago. Even though they do have LaVine, they do have DeRozan, Vucevic has been solid. They have some solid players like Kobe White and Alex Caruso. It's just, I don't know. Like, they're a team that they lose to good teams, they beat bad teams. That was 2 years ago. And then last year, they beat good teams and lost to bad teams. I don't know what it's going to be. It's just very weird over there, you know? So I won't be surprised if they do make the play-in, but for now, I'm going to go 11. And number 10 now, the play-in. This, I think, is where I'll put Brooklyn. I'll put Brooklyn at 10 for me. Even though I really like the Nets team, I'm going to watch them a lot. I'm really going to like them. It's just the only problem is that they don't have, again, they'll probably lose a lot of close games and that are decided in the last like 2 or 3 minutes because they don't have a star they can give the ball to. Like, usually how you win games now NBA is like, here's star player, make some plays happen. You know, in Brooklyn, Mikal Bridges is kind of their star player, but he's not proven of being a star yet. So we don't know if he's going to be able to take over in situations like that, you know, or even Ben Simmons. I feel like the only reason I put Brooklyn in the play-in and not lower is because I've seen Ben Simmons play. And if Ben Simmons is playing, he could be a game changer for them. You know, he's looked pretty solid in preseason. He looks motivated. Looks like he wants to go out there and play. You know, so I'll put them in the play-in. But yeah, the only thing holding them back is they don't have a star player that's gonna take over. If they did have that star player, they would definitely be a play-in, maybe even playoff team. But for now, I'm putting them at 10. Number 9 now. Orlando's gonna be in consideration here. Indiana's gonna get some consideration here. Even maybe Miami will get some consideration here. I'm gonna go with the Orlando Magic at 9. I'll go Orlando at 9. I really like their team. Paolo, I think, is going to have a big year. Ferran's going to have a big year. Markello's going to have a good year. I've seen what he's been doing. Mandela's solid. Like, they should have a really solid team. You know, and I've been talking about ever since the end of last season to now, I think this could be the year Orlando makes the playoffs. That was my bold prediction. You know, now Orlando will be the surprise team in the league and will shock a lot of people and make the playoffs. You know, so I have Orlando at number 9. I have I have expectations for them. If they don't hit, I'm not going to be super disappointed. It's just going to be how it happens, you know, because they could improve a lot and just get unfortunate in some games and lose. You know, that could happen, but I think Orlando's going to be a pretty solid team, you know. So I got them at number 9. Now, 8th seed in the East. I'm going to go here with the Indiana Pacers at 8. I'm going to go Indiana at 8. I think they're going to be in there to play in for sure. I would almost lock them in. They just have a really good young team. Tyrese Halliburton. As long as Tyrese Halliburton's over there, they're going to be able to win some games. You saw it again last year. I've said it multiple times, but last year when he was healthy at the start of the year, they were a top 5 team in the East until he got hurt. Miles Turner's been solid. Bending Mathurin. We don't know what's going to happen with Buddy Hield. Apparently he's going to start the year on the Pacers. We don't know. They brought in Obi Toppin. They brought in Bruce Brown, who's a winning player. They just have a really good young team, and yeah, the way they were rolling last year and the way they play the game, I think they're gonna have some good wins. I think they're gonna be in this play-in mix. Got them at number 8. At number 7 now, this is where I'm gonna go with the Miami Heat. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Miami Heat at 7. I think of course, they don't have as much. They're a team. I made a video about it last year before the playoffs started and said it. They're a playoff team, not a regular season team. Regular season, they're probably gonna lose some games just because their way they play, the grit and grind, don't have a bunch of offensive firepower. Just for that alone, the regular season, you're gonna lose some games because of that. But the playoffs, that's where they're really hitting. You saw last year that their seeding doesn't really matter for them. They were an 8 seed, made all the way to the NBA Finals. So I don't think they mind having to go back to. Of course, they don't want to be in the play-in again. They want to be high and get a lot of wins. But I feel like they're a team that it doesn't really matter where the seeding is. If they get into the play-in again, they're probably going to come out. They're probably going to still win that game, make the playoffs. And that's when they're really going to be at their full power, So I got them at 7. At 6 now these are the teams that are going to be settled into the playoffs. At 6, I have the Philadelphia 76ers. We don't know what's going to happen with James Harden. I thought James Harden was going to start the year there, and he probably is going to start the year there. He was practicing, but now is another thing where he didn't show up to practice. He's only scrimmaged once in training camp and all this stuff. So things coming up again, I don't know. That's a big distraction. But even besides that, Joel Embiid's obviously really good. Tyrese Maxey, they have Tobias. But the only thing, I don't know. Just looking at their roster, their bench, they have DeAnthony Melton, who, if James Harden doesn't play, DeAnthony Melton might start. They have Pat Bev, Paul Reed. I don't really like their bench a whole lot. They have some solid players. I like Anthony Melton. Pat Bev is still solid. Paul Reed is pretty solid. But I don't really like their bench a whole lot. You know what I mean? Don't like their bench a whole lot. And this whole James Harden thing has just been a big, we don't know if James Harden's going to come out and be James Harden last year, or if James Harden's going to come out and be like, I don't even want to be here, so I'm just going to go out there and go through the motions. If they get to go through the motions, James Harden, they're going to lose a lot more games than they did last season. Because James Harden James Harden put up, 21 and 10 a game. That's huge offense for them, if he's going to go through the motions, they're going to lose a lot more games. If he does play regular James Harden, they're still going to be good. But I don't know. I just get a feeling that they're not going to be as good as they have in the last few years. That's just my feeling, I won't be surprised if they're in top 4 seed again and stuff. But for me, I honestly consider them going 7. I honestly consider putting Miami in front of them. But I feel like just because they have Joel, Tyrese Maxey, and they're going to maybe have James Harden, they probably win a few more games in Miami. But I'm not a big believer in the 76ers team. At 5, I have the Atlanta Hawks. Now, I feel like the more and more I've watched them in preseason, the more and more I think about the Hawks, I'm slowly buying in more and more to them. I think before this preseason and the offseason started, I didn't know what to think of them, because last year I expected them to be pretty good, and they kind of were just average. They were the 8 seed, 7 seed last year. And I didn't want to put a lot of expectations on them this year, but I don't know. The more and more I think, the more and more I watch them in preseason, the more and more I see this team, the more I kind of believe that they're going to have a good year. That this could be the year that they pop off and be pretty good. Trae Young, he's been doing a lot more off-ball stuff in the preseason, which I like. DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, Sadiq Bey, good wing. Jalen Johnson's going to be a starter for them, which he's been playing really, really good. Clint Capella, Kobe Buffkin's had some solid moments. Bogdanovich. Looking at this team's roster, they should be a good team, And the more and more I'm watching this preseason, the more and more I believe in them. So I'm gonna believe in the Hawks at the number 5. I'm gonna believe in the Hawks, but Also, if they are another playing 8, 9 seed and are just average again, that's my last time. It's gonna be my last time believing. Okay, but this year I'm buying the stocks on the Atlanta Hawks. Put them at number 5. At number 4 now, I'm putting the New York Knicks again. The Knicks should be just a good team. You know, I don't see how they fall off a whole lot from last year. Jalen Brunson is still going to be good. I'm excited to see if Jalen Brunson has another step that he can take, potentially. But even if he does, he's still going to be good. Julius Randle, going to be an interesting year to see how he does, too. Because the first year he got to New York, he's bad. Then 2021, he had a great year. Last year, he's bad. Then 2023, he had a great year. So as that pattern going to continue, he's going to have another bad year. Well, bad in his standards year. I don't really know. RJ, I think, has been pretty solid. Like, Quentin Grimes looked really good. Dante DiVincenzo, I think, was a perfect fit for this team. Josh Hart. Like, this team should be a top 5 seed in the East again. You know, the only way it doesn't is if Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle just kind of don't have the same magic as last year, and they kind of fall a little bit, and that loses them a few more games. I think that's the only way. Because look at this team. This is a really good team. So I have them at number 4. At number 3, now, this is where I'm going to put the Cleveland Cavaliers. Their defense is going to be top tier. You know, defense is going to be really good. Donovan and Darius, as long as they're there, they're going to put up some offense. Evan Mobley, I'm excited to see what he does in year 3. Jared Allen's solid. Well, they really brought in, you know, they're a top 4 seed in the East last year, and they didn't have any shooting. And then they bring in what they needed, shooting. Max Strus, good 3-point shooter. Georges Niang off the bench, going to be a solid 3-point shooter. Their bench is solid. Caris LeVert as a 6-man, like him a whole lot better. I think he'd be good there. Damian Jones is a decent center. Their bench isn't the greatest. Bench is not the greatest, but I think with their starting lineup and their defense, you know, and they added the shooting, I think that's a recipe to be a top team in the Eastern Conference. And now we got Boston and Milwaukee at the number 1 and number 2. I did not mean to put Milwaukee 1. Actually, yeah, Milwaukee. Or you know what? I'm going to put Milwaukee at number 2. I'm going to put Boston at 1. Milwaukee at 2 because I think with Dame and Giannis, I think they're not going to really... They're gonna go crazy in the regular season. You're going to have a good regular season, obviously, with that team. But I don't know. I feel like they're not really going to gun for the number 1 seed. You know what I mean? But also, I don't know. Because I think they will. That's why I'm so tough, because I feel like Milwaukee's going to gun it a little bit. I just contradicted myself, because I don't know why I said I don't think they're going to gun it, because I do think they're going to gun it at number 1, or try to be really, really good and try to prove a lot of people wrong, especially after what they did last year. They lost in the first round, you know? But then again, they were a 1 seed when they lost. So, I don't know. Yeah, I'll keep it like this. Boston, they're going to be really good in the regular season. They have really good players. They're gonna be really, really good. You know, Boston's going to be really, really good. I love what I've been seeing this preseason from them. And, yeah, so there's my Eastern Conference standings. So, recap, Eastern Conference standings. So, my top 6 that are going to be in the playoffs. We have Boston at 1, Milwaukee 2, Cleveland 3, New York 4, Atlanta 5, Philadelphia 6. Then my Eastern Conference plan, we have Miami 7, Indiana 8, Orlando 9, Brooklyn 10. And the teams that miss out, we have Chicago at 11, Toronto at 12, Detroit 13, Charlotte 14, and Washington at number 15. So, yeah, that's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what your predictions are for the Eastern Conference in the comments below. And, yeah, once again, if you like the content, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications also like that. Really appreciate it. Really upset a lot. And, yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.